I really appreciate you joining us now. Scott Rigell, Congressman, 2nd District, Virginia. Great to have him with us. Wow. Had him on a week ago. Had this debate about trade. All of a sudden, I get an email. He's retiring. We couldn't figure it out, so we figured we'd just get him on and ask him. Congressman Rigell, shocker of the week last week. Hey, I think you're on a speaker. Are you on a speaker?
No, I'm not, but if I have to call back in, I will. Are you okay? You want me to call back in?
No, I think that's okay now. I think we're good.
Okay, all right. Well, John, if we can, it's a serious matter, of course, and I don't take it lightheartedly, but let me just say on a lighter note, maybe last week was the pivot point because you beat me up so bad on TPP. But
that's what I thought, right?
No, listen, hey, in case your listeners didn't hear it, I feel like I at least came to a draw with you, but no, that was a spirited conversation, and I tell you, that's somewhat of the essence of what it means to have a republic like ours, to have a democracy. I mean, to where you can engage debate and advance the things that you think are right. But John, I think you have me on this morning to talk about this decision, and of course, I'm happy to talk about it. And I guess I'll just be, of course, just transparent with you and these wonderful listeners that I've so enjoyed connecting with through the years. You've given me that privilege to be on your show, and I put it this way: there are seasons to life, and I just had a real sense that my time of public service was coming to a close. And of course, I wrestled with that because we need people to go, and we need people to stay, and there's value in seniority, and I really wrestled with that. But John, it was really clear to me. I started thinking, well, why did I get in this in the first place? Why did I start this, pivot from entrepreneurship and business and those kind of things? And I worked hard in our community, but this wasn't on the bucket list of life, I can tell you that. And it was because of the train that was being driven. The conductor's area there at the front of the train had 3 people in it: Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and Barack Obama. And I'll never forget it. I mean, it really, really troubled me. We were barreling down the tracks, over 100 miles an hour. All the gauges are reading red. Nobody's there to check all of that. And I love my Democratic friends. I really do. But I tell you, you can't outspend them and you can't outtax them. And I thought, this just can't go on. And I was initially recruited to run. I was asked to run in January of 2009. Our businesses were just hurting so badly. We were losing so much money per month at our dealerships. I thought in another 12 months, and I'm not overstating this, I thought, we could be out of business. Have to close. So it was in that environment that I was asked to run by my dear friend Thelma Drake. I think she's okay with me sharing this, but that was the genesis of it. She took Terry and me to lunch with her husband, Ted, and the only response I could give, John, when she shared some very kind words at lunch, all I could say was, Thelma, thank you for your kind words, and I changed the subject. We got in the car, and Terry said, Scott, that was really odd. And I said, what do you mean? She said, you didn't ask her what it was like to run or what it was like to serve. I said, Terry, I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. That just wasn't where my mind was. I thought maybe Thelma needed some help with some campaign debt or something, and she didn't. That wasn't why we were there. But John, I initially said no. Now, fast forward to Mike Huckabee, special guest for my dear friend, our friend, then candidate Bob McDonnell, and it was down at the oceanfront, and I went down there to support my friend Bob. And Mike Huckabee, this 2.5 months after I told Thelma no, Mike Huckabee says, are you concerned, are you disappointed with your Republican Party? Man, I just wanted to raise my hand. I was. And this next one got to me. He said, are you troubled by the direction this country's headed? He said, our country is worth fighting for. And John, a wave, it was all I could do to hold it together, because a wave of emotion hit me that I was asked to run. 2.5 months earlier, I said no because of our businesses, and the only thing I could think of was my father, Ike Rigell, and finest man I know, Iwo Jima veteran. You could throw a bunch of others in there. Saipan, Tinian, all through the Pacific when he was 19, 20, 21 years old, didn't come home for about 3 years. And I thought, wow, Providence never asked that of me. I've never been shot at. I've hardly had anything asked of me in my life. And I came home that day, John, I had to say to Terry, I've got to know that I was willing. And, John, I don't talk about this story much, but maybe at the close here of my service, I got a full year ahead, and I'm going to finish strong. The whole team is committed to that. But I can't explain why I'm leaving without explaining how I got into this. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share it. But that was the moment, about 2.5 months after Thelma asked me, that I said, I've got to know. I can't live my life, frankly, without knowing that I was willing. I'm not sure I'm the right guy. At least at that time I wasn't. But I got in there to dehorse Nancy Pelosi because that was the quickest way we had, and frankly, the only short-term way we had to stop this thing and provide a check and a balance and really try to do about a 15, 20, 25-degree course change to the right. That's all we had. That was it. And you know this as well as anybody because we've talked about it through the years. It's not that 435 seats are really open for this. There's only about 20, 25, 30, depending on how much room you want to give somebody. But our district was one of those districts that would determine whether, Nancy Pelosi had that gavel or not. I knew that. You knew that. I mean, it was a big deal whether we won this district. And we needed other similar districts, ones that would elevate a Democrat or a Republican, those swing districts. We needed to win them. And so, John, every morning, I'm telling you, I got it probably 5:30. I was kind of notorious for that. Excited to win and determined to win. I ran full time for 17 months. Not some of the day, all day, every day, for 17 months. Had the great privilege to prevail in November 2010, took office in 11, and one of the best days I had was sitting right next to Randy Forbes. He was to my right, and I've always respected Randy, and I thought, good gracious, I'm up here. I'm sitting next to Randy Forbes, and I voted for John Boehner. I proudly proclaimed his name as opposed to Pelosi. So I just had a sense of closure. I never was going to be up there for forever, John. It was never. I was up there, but I wasn't of there, if you follow. And I always had that sense that I didn't know exactly when I'd end, but about 3 months ago it started becoming clear. I was just running out of steam. This job is incredibly challenging. I'm not complaining, but it's very demanding. And I can tell you this, and I'll stop here because you've been very patient with me and letting me explain some things, but my family, they're just beyond elated. It's that kind of, I guess they feel like they're getting their dad back or their husband back for Terry. But it's a privilege to serve. Man, what a district. Incredible. So wherever you want to go with the conversation, I'm happy to go.
Well, Congressman, no doubt, we thank you for your service. And it's ironic, I had dinner last night with Thelma Drake and her husband.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she told me that
they're
exact
wonderful
story.
People.
They
wonderful
really
people.
are. And she said that she was thrilled that you finally accepted her suggestion to run for Congress. But this surprised a lot of people because you had sold your dealership.
Sure,
and,
right.
You got a coveted seat on the Appropriations Committee.
Yes.
And, those of us that know you and your wife, I mean, you had remodeled your condo in D.C., so all indications were there that and I think when you originally ran, you said you were going to be there for 6 terms.
Now, let me be really clear about this, because I never was ambiguous about it. What I said is I have a leave and term limit, and I do. Right. And I think 6 for a member of yeah, that's right, 6 for a member of the House, 12 years total, 2 terms for a U.S. Senator. I do believe that there's value in that 8th and 10th and 12th year, and you could, I do see value in that. So it wasn't a commitment. In fact, I think that's a bit presumptuous when people say I'm going to serve 12 years, but I said, I'm going to seek office, but no more than 12 years, and that is true. John, it was only and again, I'm just being completely transparent, not only with you, but your listeners. It was about 3 months ago that I just seemed to start running out of the passion, and that concerned me. And I don't know if you've ever been out on a little pond on a john boat with a little trolling motor and a trolling battery, but the way a trolling motor works, a little trolling battery works, it'll give you everything it's got till about the last 5 minutes. You know, and you're thinking everything's going along smooth, but when that little battery starts to run down, it doesn't run down over an hour or two. It runs down kind of over about a period of 5 minutes, and the propeller turns a little slower. And I kind of started sensing that a little bit, and Terry and I started talking, and I really felt like we were coming up on a decision point, because either our work had been completed, could I look back and say, was it worth it? Did we advance some of those things that I thought were critical? No member of Congress, in fact, no president, clearly, either party ever leaves office thinking, man, everything got done. Everything I wanted to get done got done. That just does not happen in a republic. And so I didn't expect that, but I started to reflect upon, what did we do? Had we advanced enough to where I could make that trip home for the last time from Washington and have that piece that I gave it everything that I had? And John, when it comes to the use of military force, trying to constrain the president in this area as a freshman 2 or 3 months in, I tried to defund Operation Odyssey Dawn, when we toppled Gaddafi. And look, he's a heinous figure, but what do we got there now? It's total chaos, and that should be. Yep, that's Hillary Clinton. She's got to own that. I hope somebody holds her accountable for it. But all the way through the Syria, trying to get the president to stop and come and not just get United Nations approval, but approval from the people's representatives. We fought hard for that, and I'm convinced that we influenced that in a real way. I tried to elevate here in the dealership, where'd that come from? In the district and in Washington, that civility is not weakness. I mean, the harshness that's out there, I don't hate Democrats. They're my neighbors. They're in my neighborhood. I worship with them at my church, I'm sure. But I'm in the persuasion business, so I'm trying to persuade people to nudge them on over to the right. Fiscally, smaller government is best for all Americans. And so I think we made some progress there. Job creation, trying to constrain just out-of-control regulations, a bunch of things. I won't go through all of that, other than to say that I told my staff that I want them to forever feel good about the work that we did and the fact that we took a swing district, held it for 6 years, served our incredible military families with a love and passion that is deserving for them. Our Gold Star families, I came to know them, John. They're my dear, close personal friends, those who've lost a loved one in service to our country. They have really helped me to understand the price that's been paid for this incredible country that we live in, for all of its dysfunction. Man, this is a great place. People ask me, Scott, is it your health? No, it's not my health. You probably left there, Scott, because you couldn't get anything done and you're frustrated with Washington. I said, no, is it frustrating being up there? Sure. But you can get things done. You really can. I didn't leave there because of that. I left there because my time had come to a close. I just really sensed that. It was affirmed by Terry, my wife, who I respect so much, and we started to call her each day from Washington. I said, Terry, I really sense that I'm to come home. And she said, Scott, I have the same feeling. And you don't make a decision like that quickly. So the next day, I'd call her and I said, Terry, I have a sense that this season's to come to a close. It really kind of surprised me too, John, I have to say. But I'm at total peace with it. I love our district. I'm going to stay engaged. We're going to finish strong. We've got a lot of work to do this year. I know that we can be effective. That may be counterintuitive, but it's true. And got a lot of things we're working on. We're going to take good care of this district for this year. It's a special place.
Congressman Rigell, dispel one more rumor that's out there. Did your decision to retire have anything to do with a pending primary challenge?
John, I'm telling you, that look at the risk of sounding, cocky or something, because I'm not. Frankly, that's just flat out laughable. I mean, I've been in some cage matches. I mean, look, that first primary. I mean, these have been some of the most hotly contested races, certainly in Virginia, and some would say, among the top, maybe not the top one in the country, but every time I've been in a race, John, it's been, this is a competitive district. I am not afraid of a tough fight. Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. I mean, no, that is not why. That had, frankly, nothing to do with it. Just like my health didn't have anything to do with it, and just like not, this idea of, are you frustrated with Congress? No, I told you why I left. I mean, and I'm in it. I left because my wife and I had a sense of closure.
We take it on face value, no question.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I believe you do.
Congressman, one thing about you, and you've been very gracious with our listeners. You've come on the air with me a lot in a completely unfettered and candid and forthright environment. We appreciate that. And you've never held back. I want to tell my listeners that anytime we've got the congressman on, nobody texts me and says, well, what are the topics or the issues? They just put them on the show and we go at it. I mean, there's
right.
Nothing is pre-planned. One thing, though, I do want to ask is
sure.
that, if I may, as you go forward in this, your district's open. There's a couple of people running in it now, and I got two issues, so I want to get to the first one before I miss it.
You can talk about whatever you want.
There is a possibility that the Supreme Court is not going to stay the 4th District redistricting, which could lead Congressman Randy Forbes, he's my congressman in our district, to run for your seat in the 2nd District. Although he's not a resident of the 2nd District, you don't have to be in a federal office. If he were to decide to do that, is that potentially something you could embrace?
Oh, let me be clear. I can provide absolute clarity on this. The first member of Congress that I called was Randy Forbes when I made the announcement. And I said to my friend, who I've held in high regard from when he was in the House of Delegates, I said this. I said, Randy, there's more flux in congressional lines in our area than perhaps anywhere else in the country, or at least as much. I said, it is critical that we have outstanding leadership, the best leadership that we can possibly elevate. And I said, let me be clear, Randy, and he didn't bring it up, I did. I said, if you are open to it and you and Shirley come to a considered, thoughtful decision that your service is to continue, I want you to consider running in Virginia too. Not only will you do that with me welcoming you, but I'll do everything I can to help you. Randy is an outstanding leader. He's respected in Washington. He's getting things done. He is irrefutably, by any objective measure, a thoughtful, consistent, principled conservative. And look, I wouldn't start with the seniority argument on this, but it doesn't escape me, because about 1/3 of our economy here is based on, defense. And he's a subcommittee chairman on HASC. He's 1 seat away, I think. I haven't seen the dais lately, or the committee, but I think he's 1 seat away from Mac Thornberry, who is the chairman. And
yes,
I think that's what's needed, and he would be welcomed and received. He's respected across Hampton Roads. So I hope that's a clear indication of where I stand on that matter.
That's pretty clear, and because this is an important issue, there are other candidates running in there.
Sure.
I just want to reiterate and paraphrase so I have this straight. So
right.
If Congressman Randy Forbes from the 4th District, my congressman, decides to run for Congress for your seat in the 2nd District, it sounds like from what you said, you would not only encourage it, but you would endorse him and campaign on his behalf. Is
anything,
that right?
Look, from the Maryland line on down, on the beautiful Eastern Shore, I would introduce him to my friends, frankly, so many of whom are already his friends, but I would do everything I could And certainly there are some lawful considerations. We'd only do what we could. There are mailing lists and things like that that have to be handled very, very carefully, and we would. But I will tell you that Terry and I would be the first, or among the first, to contribute to a campaign, to help him, to introduce him to my friends, donors, supporters, people that I've had an incredible privilege to get to know. I go over in a little boat. This would be a fun day with Randy if he's willing and he decides to run. We'll run over to Tangier Island, and I'll introduce him to Uker, who's the wonderful mayor of that wonderful little piece of Virginia, too, that little island in the Chesapeake Bay, and all the way around to Newport News and Hampton, and, of course, Norfolk and Virginia Beach. And Randy's a tremendous campaigner. He's won many, many difficult elections, and people respect him, and he's proven. And he's the caliber of person. In fact, he is the person that I would want to see casting votes that represent this incredible district. I know it's unusual, and I don't know what he's going to do. I don't. But we're in a very unusual situation. Some things have been forced upon us by our friends on the other side of the aisle. It was a Democratic-led law team that pushed this whole thing, and I think they would take some delight in taking out a fine member like Randy. And if there's an alternative, and they've given him a district that, look, this is important, John. I think it's important to say, is it winnable or not for a Republican? Because I know Randy Forbes enough to know he's not afraid of a fight, but I can tell you
he can't. Look, Scott.
Nobody can win it, John.
He's not going to be able to win that district. It went 61%, 63% for Obama. You're not going to win that district. You're not going to beat Don McKeechin in there. We're out of time, though. We are going to have you back. More info, rigell.house.gov. Scott Rigell on our show, endorsing unequivocally Randy Forbes for his seat, if indeed the 4th District redistricting holds. Congressman, thanks for being with us. We are out of time.
Excuse me, John, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, John.